This morning, we are here to celebrate and recognize scholars and researchers who approach social justice issues using sharpened analytical lenses, rigorous conceptualization, and research methods characterized by meaningful engagement with their peers and the affected communities. I would like to get us started by calling upon Dr. Cassius Lubisi, the chairperson of the Human Sciences Research Council Board, to give his welcome remarks and set the tone for today's awards ceremonies. As he makes his way here, thank you very much. I'd just like to say we all know that he has served as far back as a special advisor to the Minister of Education, as far back as 2003 and 2004, amongst other luminary responsibility concepts that he has headed up. And he comes here as the chairperson to address us on today's occasion. Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Ms. Brenda Sisane. I suspected that you might have had a hand in choosing this band here, being the jazz enthusiast that you are. If you did, thank you very much.
Thank indeed. You, sir. Credit to your team.
Thank you very much. Members of the HSRC board, vice chancellors and deputy vice chancellors of universities and their representatives, representatives of the DG of Science and Innovation, CEO of the HSRC, Professor Sarah Mswetsa and her executive, CEO of USAf, Dr. Petiwe Matutu and her executive, Dr. Oliver Sil from USAf, ambassadors and high commissioners, representatives of foreign missions in South Africa, keynote speaker, Professor Chile Mbembe, our consistent supporter and advocate of these awards, Advocate Tembega Ngugaitobi, colleagues from universities and sister councils, our winners and finalists, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2022-2023 HSRC University South Africa CEOs Awards for the Social Sciences and Humanities. When the former CEO of the HSRC, Professor Crane Sudin, conceived of the idea in 2016, he articulated what he perceived to be a need for distinguishing his Social Sciences and Humanities Awards from other existing awards. For an example, the National Research Foundation makes an award to an outstanding scholar each year, eligibility for which is open to all fields. The National Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences and the Academy of Sciences of South Africa make annual book awards to deserving South African scholars who produce outstanding monographs and scholarly work in the human and social sciences. It was different from other awards, he argued, that's Professor Sudin, in that it acknowledges a lifetime contribution that influenced and shaped the humanities and social sciences. Our colleague and partner, Dr. Oliver Sil, will talk more about the purpose of these awards in a bit. But I thought it was apt to pause for a moment and remind ourselves of why the fields of human and social sciences are important, and remind ourselves of the kind of why the fields of human and social sciences are so important and deserving of this kind of dedication. In the words of Professor Sudin, and I quote, "The social sciences and humanities, alongside of all other knowledge forms we have developed, are absolutely central to who we are as human beings, alongside of mathematics and what we have come to call the hard sciences, they provide us with our civilizational compasses, close quote. This is what we have come here to celebrate again today. Outstanding contributions in the human and social sciences. That which provide and explain our social compasses. This year with a particular focus on social justice. The occasion, now in its 7th year, and since 2020, in partnership with the Universities South Africa, also celebrates emerging and young scholars as well as teams. I have been fortunate to have participated in the adjudication processes of the awards over the past 2 years. It is a real privilege to get to engage with the exceptional research outputs that our human and social scientists produce. It is particularly encouraging, given our critical need for evidence-based policy and reforms, that this work is not purely academic, quote unquote, or abstractly theoretical, but solution-oriented with the view to solving problems that confront the human condition on a daily basis. Singling out an individual or one team is never easy. Each of the nominations that we receive annually is more than worthy and contributes in its unique way and focus to the corpus of human and social sciences research in our country. We are grateful for each nomination. And while there must be a winner, it is both the parts and the collective that we want to celebrate today. We thank you ever so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Libisi has served in various capacities, including being a member of the National Advisory Group of the Culture of Learning, the Presidential Lead in 1995, a member of the Ministerial Review Committee on Curriculum 2005, the chairperson of the Ministerial Project Committee on the National Curriculum Statement Grade 12, also a member of the Education Advisory Committee of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, and he has spoken. Thank you, sir. Our second speaker this morning is Dr. Oliver Seal. He's the Director of the Higher Education Leadership and Management Program at Universities South Africa. He will speak for a short moment, and then, of course, later on, we will start with the prize giving. Unfortunately, the CEO of USAF, Dr. Petiwe Matutu, was unable to join us at this moment. So without further ado, we welcome Dr. Oliver Seal. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Program Director. It's indeed an honor for us to be represented here today as Universities South Africa, the National Universities Association for the 26 public universities in South Africa. So, to the chairperson of the HSRC, chairperson of the board, the CEO of the HSRC, members of the executive, vice-chancellors, deputy vice-chancellors, distinguished guests, senior government officials and other leaders and managers within the HSRC, and especially to the winners and the finalists that are here today. Congratulations. It's a great milestone you have achieved. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings from our chairperson, Professor Sibongile Mutwa, and our CEO, Dr. Petiwe Matutu, who unfortunately cannot be with us today. The awards that we celebrate today, as was mentioned, started under the leadership of the former CEO of the HSRC, Professor Crane Sodin, and was presented. The main aim was to recognize the contributions of scholars in the social sciences and the humanities fields through the annual medal awards that we are celebrating today. In 2020, for the first time, the HSRC partnered with University South Africa, and it proved to be a great partnership in respect of celebrating one of the core missions of our universities, which is research and innovation. The fact that USAf has established relationships with universities meant that it had a wider audience, was reached through these awards, and it seemed to have just opened up and injected a new level of energy and interest into these HSRC awards. In 2022, colleagues, 3 categories were recognized. That is the Emerging Researcher Award, Established Researcher Award, and the Research Team Award. There's an additional category of these awards that was introduced in 2023, and that is of mid-career researcher. 2023's theme, as we heard, is social justice, a very critical and important area in our universities in our country at the moment. The theme seeks to identify innovative research projects that are centered on analyzing social justice inquiry, theories and practice, aimed at achieving transformation impact of the communities, both socially, scientifically, and otherwise. So it's a really critical area of inquiry, but also of research in our country, but also in our universities. So as we heard, the nominations were received. There was an adjudication process which took place, and a panel of judges established with criteria who the actual finalists and the winners are of these awards. I think it's really apt for us at this time to be gathering in person to celebrate. There's so many achievements that we've had in our university system in the last year or two. And because of lockdown and COVID, we had very few moments to celebrate these kind of events. So it's really, for us as University South Africa, as the partner of the HSRC, an honor to be here. We appreciate the work, the collaboration that we've started with the HSRC in this award, and we look forward to establishing and building and creating even stronger partnerships with this important organization, but also, as I mentioned earlier, in the area of research and innovation. So congratulations once again from University South Africa, from our CEO and our executive, to all those who made the finals and those who were lucky to be selected as winners. You all are celebrated today. Thank you very much.
Dr. Seal, thank you very much for encouraging us to celebrate. Indeed, it is a celebratory occasion. I mean, it's unusual to be here at this time of the morning to hear a jazz band. The lighting is so dim, it literally transforms you to another place. This is all deliberate. It's really about these accolades that are being celebrated this morning. So let's let ourselves go into it and flow with it nicely, because it's meant to be so. And we're going to do that by starting to serve the starter. Excuse the tautology, but we're going to do that and also have the band in residence while that is happening. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the band. Dumi Mokgorosi, who is the band leader, studies the drum as well, and he's written a book or two about that subject. And of course, he studies its relations to us as human beings. He's known for his work in composing, arranging, and directing live classic and jazz music. There's a synergy between sociological theory and the performative gestures in his Black Sonic, which is the thread of Black consciousness, which views Blackness as an antagonistic condition that overrides the hegemonic historical narrative of Blackness as degradation and deceit. He was nominated for the South African Music Awards. He won the Standard Bank Ovation Award and the Standard Bank Performer of the Year Award. His albums, including Group Theory Black Music, released in 2022 by 2 independent recording labels in South Africa and beyond. And he's joined by an amazing array of collaborators. Mark Fransman is a well-known singer and vocalist who writes very evocative lyrics. We get to hear them today in punctuation of what's happening. And Dabo Zulu has studied the trumpet and performs a tribute to his heritage, which is set in KwaZulu-Natal, as well as Daliso Ndlazi, who plays the bass. They're going to join us right now, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome them to the stage and give them a round of applause, we will be serving starters at the same time. So a round of applause to them. I'm calling upon Dumi Mukhorosi, but I'd like to read a quote. You know what? You get tempted to talk about these things in moments like this, and you try to find the right words, you know, which in a short moment just espouse what happens, right? There's a quote that was made popular again by an author named Brené Brown. She is a researcher herself, but she also talks a lot about corporate culture. And she revived this quote that says the credit belongs to the woo or man who is actually in the arena, whose face is dusty, sweaty, and even bloody, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deed, who knows great enthusiasm, devotion, commitment, and who, at the worst, if they fail, it is while daring greatly. So it is not the critique who counts. The credit is to the one in the ring. And the ones we're celebrating today have been in the ring, and of course the fruit to bear are here to witness today. Dumi Mukhorosi and the band will join us shortly, and the starter is served. Thank you. The Secretariat, comprising of Dr. Palisa Skejane, whom is the Director of Strategic Partnerships, invited and constitutes the external adjudication panel members with the endorsement of the CEO. The finalists and winners were selected by an adjudication panel made up of executive members, Professor Heidi van Rooyen, Professor Sarah Muswetsa, Dr. Petiwe Matutu, and independent external member, which is this year's comprised of Professor Malihoko Tswaedi, Professor Vasudevan Reddy, and Chairperson of the HSRC's board, Dr. Cassius Lubisi. So it was quite a formidable team that sat through this. So here's how we're going to do the prize giving. The finalists will each come on stage after I call their names. They will receive certificates. It's a moment for a photograph that we need to document that they did receive it. And then a video of the winning entry will be played. And thereafter, the award winner will give a short speech in that order. May we begin? Our first category for the morning, before I do that, may I ask Professor Heidi and Dr. Oliver Seal to join me? Thank you. We can come this way, it's closer, towards that end. So we made the space available. Thank you. Our first category for the morning is the Emerging Researcher category. The criteria for Emerging Researcher: a record of sustained academic excellence in the social sciences and humanities of at least 5 years, a record indicative of developing an international reputation for their scholarship, a strong record of contribution to the public's understanding of social sciences and/or humanities in the area theme of their scholarship. Evidence of meaningful, impactful work over an extended period, for example, impact on public policy, social change, community interventions, etc. The contribution to the social sciences and humanities in terms of social justice scholarship, nominees are requested to be under 35 to reside and work in South Africa. In this category, the finalists are Dr. Nathi Zongozi from the University of South Africa. Do come through, Dr. Nathi. You can come through the stairs over here. Mahlatsi has a certificate for you. Dr. Pedro Mihlali Mzileni, University of the Free State. Congratulations. Another finalist is Dr. Hannah Dawson, University of Witwatersrand. And ladies and gentlemen, to the video team at the back, may we play a 3-minute video of the winner as
I think there's at least two things that make for kind of really innovative and interesting work. One is when someone challenges the received view about something, and second, when someone gives us new insights into a particular problem. Hannah's work is really innovative on both grounds. So firstly, we talk a lot about the future of work and how patterns of work are changing. But we don't kind of often enough think about that issue from the labor supply side. And I think Hannah's work among kind of young South African men and their changing perceptions of work, I think really challenge us to think about that kind of problem in a new way. I think second, there's a kind of received view that most unemployed people are really not doing anything, and they're not interested in work. I think what kind of Hannah's kind of research among young South African men again shows us is that that problem is a lot more complex than it's made out to be. And I think collectively the work that she's done really gives us tremendously kind of insightful information on how we should think about unemployment among young South Africans.
My work has evolved over the years. I began doing research on protests and young people's political engagements and actions. And then my work over the years shifted to a focus much more on questions of work and unemployment. And when I try to think about how the different aspects of my work kind of coalesce, I think the big question I've been grappling with for a long time is what are the social, economic and political implications of very high levels of unemployment or mass joblessness. And on the inverse, I've been interested in trying to ask when most people or large numbers of people don't have access to a wage job. What then? What forms of life, what forms of work emerge in that context?
Yeah, I feel kind of extremely proud that kind of Hannah's based in our Inequality Research Center, and I'd like to kind of sincerely kind of congratulate her on kind of winning this award. I think I can honestly say that I cannot think of another young academic in South Africa who is looking at these problems in as interesting and as innovative a way as Hannah is. So kind of exceptionally proud of her, kind of exceptionally proud to be kind of to be doing work with her, and I think this is a richly deserved award.
Prize.
Well, just a huge thank you, and I think as we heard this morning, there's so many people who are as, if not more, deserving, but I think mainly I feel very humbled to have received it, and also just feel very proud to be a part of the collective community of social scientists and humanities scholars in South Africa. We, having had the privilege of studying in another country, I feel we are extremely lucky to have the social science community we have in South Africa, and at WITS, which is the home I know most well. So in a sense, thank you to that community, which has the community in which I've learned and hope to contribute to the many communities I've done all my work in and learned through. So thanks very much to all of those many, many people. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. So to all the fellow recipients, I'd like you to come to the front and receive more. You know what they say about star quality? This moment comes with lots of photography as well as gifts that come with that. So if Hannah could join you, and if you could also come to the fore, Dr. Pedro and Dr. Nati. Thank you. She wants to catch you while you're at it, so you can do it right here in front. You don't have to come to the stage, yeah. Mahlatsi is in charge of me, so every time she speaks, I have to stop everything I'm doing. She put together all these packages. It's been quite a productive week for the team. A big round of applause. The Emerging Researcher category. The second category is the Mid-Career Research category. Nominees must have the following: a record of sustained academic excellence in the social sciences and humanities of at least 10 years, including publications and student supervision, master's and doctoral degrees, a record indicative of international reputation for their scholarship, a strong record for contribution to the public's understanding of social sciences and or humanities in the area theme of their scholarship, evidence of meaningful, impactful work over an extended period, for example, impact on public policy, social change, community interventions, and so on, contribution to the social sciences and humanities in terms of social justice scholarship. Nominees are required to live and work in South Africa. I'm going to call out the recipients of the certificates, which are the top 3 finalists, and when we're done, we'll play the video which will alert us to the overall winner. I will start with Dr. Aludi Mahali, the Human Sciences Research Council. If you can go to, oh, of course, yeah. I will call Professor Luke Sinwell from the University of Johannesburg. Congratulations, Luke. Dr. Vishwas Satka from the University of Wits.
Good afternoon, colleagues and friends. It's really a pleasure for me to be speaking in support of Professor Vishwas Satka's nomination and shortlisting for this particular award. Vishwas, or Vish as we all know him, has really worked in 3 areas of social justice that has involved research, theoretical development and application, but also, of course, in the area of public intellectual work itself.
Something special about Prof is that he gets his students involved in his justice movement. I mean, we attended his conference last week as students. So as much as our course is about reading and analyzing and critical analysis and building theories, like any other regular university course, he is very much wanting us to learn. He's making us go to chat to people and be involved with people that are in decision-making processes, trade unionists, people that are changing policy, and is allowing us to interact with them and encouraging us to interact with them.
I really love how passionate he is. The fact that this course doesn't feel like coursework per se, it feels like I'm coming in and ranting with friends about things that I'm passionate about and things that bother me. And so yeah, he's very passionate. One of my favorite moments is when Prof gets angry about something.
Yes, absolutely.
I really love those moments when he's just really angry about something and then he gets off of his chair and he just goes off. So yeah, I think that would probably be why I love this course. And you?
What I really love about him and the way he conducts this course is that he does a lot of this from his own knowledge and own practice. He's not coming from a place of just studying, but he actually has worked in activism. He's done projects that, seek to take us to an emancipatory future. So the studies are based in fundamental actions of his, and that's why it feels so grounded.
The area that I'd like to reflect on is really Vish's work as the principal investigator on the Emancipatory Futures Studies in the Anthropocene, which is a project that has been funded by the Mellon Foundation since 2019 and really will be running for a period of 5 years. And here his research has built on the idea of the polycrisis that Adam Tooze and others have used to think about the need for systemic alternatives, especially to achieve social and climate justice. Through the project, he's really affirmed the idea that the subaltern, the marginal, the damnés, or to use Fanon's idea of the wretched of the earth, indeed have voice. They can think and in fact also do act in ways that imagine and construct a different world free from injustice and oppression.
The idea of the commons and commoning as a practice is very, very central to emancipatory futures, and it's central to the next world we have to build.
Vish, of course, has been the co-founder of the South African Food Sovereignty Campaign. And this was really established in 2014 as part of a national dialogue on the hunger crisis that really faced South Africans in our country in particular. Through his academic positioning, what Vish has really done is brought the idea of food sovereignty into the mainstream of the university. And really through securing something like 8,000 signatures, has also secured a space, a site of dignity for everything from eco-demonstration and food sovereignty solidarity, and really just a space for students to share when they've needed to share.
Before COVID-19, we had bake-ins and cook-ins with some of our leading African gourmet chefs that came and cooked with our students. Students also brought recipes from different parts of the continent that they come from. We've had cultural activities, etc. And essentially we want to foster a slow food culture that is nutritious, that is healthy, that is also about affirming biodiversity.
I've never met anyone as passionate and as true to his belief in what he does than Vishwas Satka. So he has to win this award.
So let me conclude by saying that we at WITS are extremely proud to be associated with Professor Vishwas Satka. We are really proud to be associated with all the accomplishments that you have achieved, Vish, and thank you.
And I didn't afford you your opportunity to do the speech, sir. When you're done with that, thank you. He has to do his speech, though. Thank you. What a great moment.
Gosh, there's so many goodies.
Yeah.
Hater. So, who was it? Kwame Nkrumah, our renowned Pan-Africanist and political leader, said, thought without action is empty. Action without thought is blind. And he was very much about the praxis-orientated intellectual, or intellectuality. And for me, this is what this award means. Gosh. I think it's very important that Marxism and a thinking Marxism is not anachronistic or, if you like, not part of the mainstream in the South African Academy. I want to also say that I wasn't meant to be an academic. I came to the Academy at age 40. And I actually, as a child of the national liberation struggle, wanted to be like Chris Hani, Ruth First. Anyway, I think the tides of history have brought me to where I am. Sociologists normally work with 2x2 tables, and they have this classificatory system about intellectuals and professional academics. And they talk about critical ones, and they talk about policy ones, and traditional ones, and public intellectual ones. And I don't think they get to it, though. I actually think that we need to think about professional intellectuals, academics, in terms of how they relate to knowledge. I think that in my own crude typology, it's about those who produce knowledge that continues oppression and exploitation. They are those who extract knowledge for their careers. They are those who speak to the ignorant masses from the summits of the Enlightenment. And then there are those that respect the collective intellectuality of society. Marx, the Grundrisse, and Gramsci, the prison notebooks. They recognize that knowledge is relational, knowledge production is relational, that the background conditions of intellectual practice has to be foregrounded. In that context, I want to just beg your indulgence, because I have to thank a lot of people. Many social forces, many individuals that shaped this knowledge project that I've been engaged with. The first, of course, is the Democratic Marxism series. There's one other project like this in the Global South. It's in India. It was the Subaltern Studies project. It was about people's history. I put the Democratic Marxism project together for two reasons. The one is that my generation wanted to renew Marxism at the process of our democratic transition. We were excited that Messianic Marxism, Leninism, and Trotskyism was over. But of course, the Communist Party chose Zuma, I chose renewal. The second reason why the Democratic Marxism project was put together was because I was shocked when I came to the university. I had, in various spaces, encounters with identity politics, encounters with particularist histories, encounters with discursive notions of the subject. And I just felt we were doing a disservice in terms of training the next generation of intellectuals in this country. Without a critical grasp of capitalism and how it relates to the big issues of our time, the poly crisis, we were doing a disservice. So that's one of the reasons why I put the Democratic Marxism series together. I want to thank all those who committed to this project to pluralize Marxism. I want to thank all those who felt strongly that we had to think about the crisis in terms of his historical specificity, the civilizational crisis we're living today. I want to thank all those at the front lines of climate justice activism in the world that have contributed to thinking in the series. I want to thank the many resisting racist border regimes in the world, standing up against xenophobia in our own country, standing up against the return of racism and so on. I want to thank the many, many feminists that have contributed to the Democratic Marxism series, from Rojava to in the coal fields of South Africa and so on. So the Democratic Marxism series has been supported for 10 years by Wits Press. I want to thank them. I want to thank the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, and I want to thank the Cooperative and Policy Alternatives Center. Very quickly on Emancipatory Futures Studies, yes, as Garth said, this is about the subaltern being able to think, imagine, anticipate, and engage in world making. My research and work on this started before the academy, and I want to thank the waste pickers that I worked with around zero waste, and they taught me about that. I want to thank those in the eco-village in Ivory Park, women who built that eco-village brick by brick through a cooperative. I want to thank them for teaching me. I want to thank the unemployed workers I've worked with over the years to set up cooperatives, the mine line factory occupation. I want to thank also my students, many of them breaking ground around this knowledge project. Their work is invaluable to the Academy in South Africa. And finally, I just want to thank the Mellon Foundation and, of course, my former Vice Chancellor, Professor Adam Habib, who believed in my passion for transnational alternatives. And finally, in terms of food sovereignty, I have to say this, it's important. Yeah. Okay. I mean, most of you know that the essential basket of goods for a woman-headed household is what? 4,900, right? And most households cannot feed themselves in this country. We have an uncaring society. And so the work we've done around food sovereignty and the case we've made for food sovereignty is very, very important. Climate famines are around the corner, and we have to take this issue seriously. I want to thank the Human Rights Commission for mainstreaming this in our hunger tribunal. I want to thank all the workers who marched with us for a bread march in the streets of Johannesburg. I want to thank drought-affected communities. I want to thank our leading climate scientists in South Africa that translated the international science and its urgencies for us. I want to thank the many activists across the country building food sovereignty pathways to end hunger and produce the People's Food Sovereignty Act. And then, of course, I want to thank my partner, Michelle Williams, whose love, care, and support has made all of this possible. My final thing is the invite to all of you. The climate crisis is here. It's very, very real. I was invited to write a piece for eFlux linked to the Guggenheim. A Native American theorist was talking about survivance. My response was ecocide. And basically, this is about a life and death struggle. I invite all of you in the Academy to mainstream the climate emergency in research, in institutional change, and pedagogy. Amandla.
Amandla. Absolutely much to be thankful for. Thank you, Dr. Vishwa Sadka. Thank you for the teachings. I just wanted to say, to echo Dr. Vishwa's, there's so many gifts that are being exchanged on this table. One of them is the fact that there are cash prizes for everyone whose name is mentioned here. So the finalists will each get a cash prize, and for the winning finalist, for mid-career researcher, it's at 40,000 Rand. For emerging researcher, it's 30,000 Rand. For the team category, it's 40,000 Rand. And for the category for established researcher, it's 60,000 Rand. And these are all the cash prizes for today. Quite a bit to be thankful for. A round of applause for organizing this. As explained earlier, all the finalists get cash prizes, and the winning finalists, the cash prize for this next category would be 40,000 Rand. And this is the third category. It's the team category. The teams should be able to demonstrate their contribution to South Africa's understanding of social justice scholarship. The teams should demonstrate their contribution to diversity and inclusion in their science and research work, a record of sustained academic excellence in the social sciences and humanities, recent collaborations with outputs and an international reputation for their scholarship. A strong record for contribution to the public's understanding of the social sciences and or humanities in the area or theme of their scholarship. Evidence of meaningful, impactful work over a period, e.g. impact on public policy, community intervention, and so on. Our top 3 finalists are, I'll start with the University of Johannesburg's team, led by Dr. L. Patel. The second finalist would be the Rose University team, led by Dr. Catriona McLeod. And the winning finalist is the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University team, led by Professor Babalwa Makotwana.
Babalwa Makotwana is the acting director of the Center for Gender and Women's Studies at Nelson Mandela University. The center has got strong links with the Faculty of Humanities, not only because of the discipline, but because of how it resonates with the key strategic focus areas of the faculty.
To profile the research activities at Nelson Mandela University, we have a number of strategic instruments. Some of these are our entities, our research chairs, and our institutional research themes. The work that Dr. Makotwana does within the Center of Gender and Women's Studies speaks directly into all these areas. This is one of the reasons that the university felt that she would be a worthy recipient of this prestigious award.
Most importantly, the center run by Babalwa is a response to the need for higher education to be actively involved in the transformation of attitudes towards women and fostering equity and equality.
I always say literacy for most black communities starts by reading the Bible. You are forced to read the Bible at a very young age, and it doesn't mean it is brainwashing or anything. Sometimes that's the only text that is there at home. You see, so the style sometimes of my teaching, the variety, the ability to adapt in different contexts has always come from that being, kind of encouraged to go to church.
Babalwa has been critical in developing a deepened understanding about gender and women issues with an African perspective, and also scholars who are from Africa have also been marginalized. So there's been that consciousness from her of always pioneering in the work she does, and also cutting against the grain. We have strong cohort of students who are looking at genders from ways that you can never imagine. So for instance, we've got students focusing on women biographies that are important, biographies of people like Brigalia Bam, Nosekeni Mandela, whom we know very little of as Mandela University. When we study the name of Mandela, we need to study it in relation to people who have influenced him about the men he got to be.
So we are very fortunate through the collaboration with the Center for Gender and Women's Studies, with Faculty of Humanities, that we are able to house the archive of Dr. Bam. This exhibition is a culmination of that work, a labor of love, a labor of honest engagement with Babawa, with Pam Maseko, with Pumla Kola, and Dr. Bam in having deep, intimate conversations with her, not only about the artifacts, not only about the paper, but about the meaning, the intent of her work over the years.
I want to congratulate you, a warm congratulations on your professorship. We, your colleagues in the department and faculty, are very proud of the work that you are doing and the contribution that you are making. And I also want to extend this warm vote of congratulations on your HSRC USAf Teams Award, as well as to the rest of your team at the Center for Women and Gender Studies.
Babalwa has done very well in the faculty and was recognized last year, and by the university she was recognized, and so we are proud as a faculty that her work is receiving attention outside of the institution, and we are grateful to the HSRC for recognizing her work. And congratulations, Professor Makukwana.
Thank you so much, HSRC and USAf. And to my fellow nominees, congratulations, colleagues. The leadership of the most dynamic university, the leadership of the most dynamic African university, Professor Sibongile Mutwa, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Andre Kiet, seated over there, the DVC, Professor Pamela Maseko, seated here, the Executive Dean of Humanities. Dr. Mkwebi is not here, who is the DVC of Research, but represented there by Dr. Kwezim Ziligazi. Thank you for allowing us to go wild with the vision of centering African women's intellectual histories in the South African Academy and across the continent. The team from Center for Women and Gender Studies, the students who work so hard to make sure that we hold the project together with Professor Pumla Kola. Thank you so much, colleagues. The collaborators from Rhodes University, UJ, Professor Malego seated there, UNISA, some of our collaborators, University of Forte, UCT, and the whole community of Black women across the globe who have lended the hand for this particular project. The Faculty of Humanities at Mandela, the students of the faculty, and the staff who consistently support us and holding us together, the project. And also, I would like to thank specifically the NHISS that has been a very grounding, rooting support for our work that we do at Mandela. They have never shaken or asked too many questions on why we are seeking epistemic justice in gender agenda in Africa. Thank you so much, and congratulations to other colleagues. Please, please. I've got a partner here. Mataban Viwendai. She's amazing. She has allowed me to be here today. I went through so much last year. I could have died. She held me together. That's her, Oviwe. Thank you so much, Mataban.
May I kindly ask the fellow recipients to come by for a photo opportunity with Babalwa. Thank you so much. Well done. Well done all. The last category this afternoon is the Established Researcher Medal Award. It is worth 60,000 rand, and the medal recognizes a lifetime of achievement and excellence in research, a record of sustained academic excellence in the social sciences and/or humanities, including publications and student supervision, master's and doctoral degrees, an international reputation for their scholarship, including international collaborations, leading research projects and evident visibility, a strong record of contribution to the public's understanding of social sciences and/or humanities in the area theme of their scholarship, evidence of meaningful, impactful work over an extended period, for example, impact on public policy, research use, knowledge translation, social change, community interventions, and so on. Contribution to the national sciences and humanities in terms of social justice scholarship. Nominees are required to live and work in South Africa. Our top 3 finalists: Professor Malusi Langa, the University of Witwatersrand. The next finalist, I'll call Professor Salim Badat, the University of KwaZulu-Natal. It says, give me the gift. There you go, sir. Thank you, sir. Sorry, who's this? Okay. That's Professor Salim Badat from the University of the Free State. Beg your pardon, sir. And may I ask the video team to start playing the video for Professor Ashwin Desai.
Professor Ashwin Desai is a highly renowned, critical, and well-respected social scientist in South Africa. He recently took over as the Saatchi Chair in Social Change at the University of Johannesburg, and before that, he was about for 10 years in the Sociology Department at UJ. Throughout his career, he has been regarded as dynamic, forthright, and fearless, and anything but mainstream. He has been the scholar who has worked relentlessly to uncover the hidden story, the story of the marginalized and the oppressed, the story from below. He has made tremendous intellectual contributions to local and global social justice scholarship in the areas of sport, political economy, and community struggles. He has built new interpretations of where we are politically and socially and where we have come from.
The best thing about working in the sociology department is this idea of freedom to pursue the kinds of research you want to do, and then come back to the department almost like some old-time anthropologist to share your views, to interact, to get some of them debunked, to get it appreciated. And so for me, that has been the incredible highlight, this kind of almost critical collegiality that has just emerged almost spontaneously in the sociology department, but in the broader humanities faculty.
He has produced 18 monographs and 3 edited books, and more than 100 accredited publications. Alongside this, he has produced tons of newspaper articles and is frequently on television as a social commentator. His work is well cited and he has high impact. As just some examples of this, his famous book, We Are the Poors, has been celebrated internationally for its very sharp and analytical framing. It is now prescribed in many countries. His book, The South African Gandhi, forced a rethinking of Gandhi's South African years and sparked global debate. Working with contemporary biographies and unexamined archives, Prof. Desai has upturned and revised thinking about crucial elements of the experience of everyday life in South Africa. Through the innovative use of group biography, he grapples with how identity is formed not just by imposition from above, but by impulses from below. We see this in his award-winning book, Wentworth, The Beautiful Game and the Making of Place, which he published in 2019.
I grew up in the Casper, which was a concrete jungle, 9, 10-story flats. And I was one of those kids who was always at the bottom, hanging out with people. As somebody told me in Wentworth, an old lady, these young boys who hold up corners. And I didn't understand immediately what she said, but I was one of those young boys who held up corners, would see thousands of people emerge into the center of Durban in the old Indian Quarter, as it was called. And I always had this fascination with the everyday. What do people do? Who are these people? And suddenly the city, people would leave on their buses and it would evaporate. And then Sunday, the Casbah was to us, all alone in the city. And then Monday, all these people will come back. So it's a kind of childhood fascination that finds now its resonance in just South Africans just love telling stories. And so it's not just about marginalized, it's to get people to talk. And once you get people to talk, you start to understand why they are making certain decisions. You might disagree with that, but they're making decisions, and how those big structures that we like to talk about, those big narratives that we always write about, how these play out in the everyday, how people receive these messages, how they change, how they react against these structures, how they succumb to it. These are fascinating things, and it's at the heart of social science.
Apart from his scholarship, he's been an activist who has been involved in social movements. He is a sought-after intellectual scholar activist who is regularly invited to interpret current events, to offer critique and provide insight into grassroots sentiments. He brings to light marginalized voices, and in this way, his public scholarship has stretched beyond the academy. We are very proud of Ashwin's achievements. He would most certainly be a very worthy candidate for the established researcher category of the HSRC and USAf Award.
Over to you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I don't want to mess it up now because that was really good. Everybody knows I'm a top gambler, so it's 60,000 Rand in cash and there's a casino next door. So I've got to get going. But those drums just reminded me that it was 1975, it was the beginning of my matric year. I'm the only son. My mother dressed me up to go to Chatsworth High. And she said, son, you are going to be head prefect.
And I was so excited, and they announced in the assembly, as they had in those days, head prefect, I wasn't head prefect. They announced deputy head prefect, I wasn't deputy head prefect. They announced prefect, I didn't make it. And the last thing they could give was bell boy. And I took that bell, and I was so happy. And they allowed you to take the bell home. And when I arrived home, my mother's face dropped. I think her son, her only son, who she, as only sons always, mothers think, is a genius, ends up with the bell. That morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, she woke me up with that bell and said, I will make you a genius. You got to start studying. And she had only been to standard 3. And she opened the 12th night, which was the textbook for the year, Shakespeare, and she said, you start by hearting this book. If music be the food of love, play on, give me excess of it, that's so feeding, that the appetite may sicken and so die, that strain again, it had a dying fall. Oh, came on my ear like the sweet sound of music, stealing and giving odor. I failed English. Because I didn't know about love, about the beauty of language, about cross-dressing from Malvolio. But I got into Rhodes University, one of the first black students. I wrote my first African history essay, 0. I wrote it straight from Ian Boyce. Second essay, 0. I said, these bloody whites, they're racist. I was stupid. There was the height of the Infantcani debate. World scholars at Rhodes University, Julian Cobbing fighting Jeff Perry's down the corridors. I won't tell you how that ended. And here I was. So this, for me, is so magnificent. It's so beautiful. My mother is dead, but I just wish, you know, those bells still ring. We buried her at St. Anthony's Church, and history is important. Went to the church, and I said, I want to bury my mother. And they say, your mother hasn't been to church in 30 years. And I took out, it was a new priest, newly minted from the Vatican. I took out a baptism certificate from 1934. And he was shocked. She had seen through 5 popes, and he didn't want to bury my mother. And so the bells ring, and hope she's here. And Prof. Sarah really moved me at the HSRC Awards when she spoke about her mother. It's moving for us. We want them around. We want them, you know. So, Mom, I know only since Prof. Sarah became NIHSS and then at the HSRC I started winning awards. I know they say I'm the Gupta and she's Dudozane, but it's not true. Thank you, HSRC and USAf, and let's just have a good time, and anybody needs a loan, I'm here.
Well, hail to your mom, Professor Ashwin. Hail to your mom. I'm going to ask the fellow recipients to also come back for a group photo later when it's done, just now. What a wonderful morning, spending time celebrating our genius and our sense of culture. It's just incredible. Congratulations to the winners, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to... So it's Heidi now. Thank you very much for holding the fort with me. I'm going to ask you, Professor Heidi van Rooyen, to give a word of congratulations. Thank you.
So I imagine there's not a dry eye in the room. My task is to just say a few words of thanks and sorry, not thanks, I'm sure Sarah will do that. But just to say a few words of congratulations to our deserving winners, all of them. So as you know by now, these awards attempt to recognize research excellence under this theme of social justice. And as one of you said, I think it was you, Babalwa, in the context of enduring inequities and inequalities in this country and the globe, these awards are a timely reminder that research in the social sciences and humanities can help us understand and address these social realities. We honor several scholars today and their institutions, WITS, UJ, UNISA, UKZN, UFS, what's the name of that old man, Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University and Rhodes, who are doing innovative, engaged research that is centered on analyzing social justice, inquiring deeply into it. Their work ably demonstrates how these theories in the social science and humanities, these frameworks, these methodologies, these interventions, programs and policy can be progressive, transformative, powerful, and meaningful in our pursuit of social justice. Halala, halala, Profs Desai, Badat, and Langer. We take a bow to your scholarship, committed to the rigorous pursuit of knowledge and truth, academic freedom, intellectual autonomy, and advancing knowledge in and through the arts, humanities, and social sciences. We acknowledge your contributions as social commentators and activists that focus on oppression and resistance, uncover hidden and contested histories, utilizing the lens of everyday life to tell these stories. We see the meticulous and careful ways you throw a spotlight on social structures, policies, and actions that sustain inequalities and injustice in society. The way in which your work talks to how these are reproduced, and the ways in which, through your work, you dig into and try and unearth strategies and policies for addressing these. We take heart in your work that seeks to eradicate poverty and violence, that shows how these undermine social cohesion and social justice in our communities, in society, and in the globe. If the established researchers gave us the impression of top-class athletes at the top of their game, oozing class and style, at their skill and accomplished ways, as a panel, the mid-career and emerging categories brought a different kind of joy. They reminded us that in the midst of stage 6, load shedding, corruption, rising interest rates, and food insecurity, they reminded us that there is hope. They reminded us that this country is in good hands with these researchers of this caliber, that we're in good hands with a brand of researchers whose work and concerns are rooted in social justice. Dr. Satkar, Prof. Sinwal, Dr. Mahali, take a bow. Halala, halala, Drs. Dawson, Mzileni, and Zongozi. Your scholarship, like those before you, is deeply engaged and participatory. You too are firmly in the mold of social activism, scholar activist. It is driven by a bottom-up lived realities approach, by a desire to support and create opportunities for those on the margins, whether those are minors in Marikana and other communities beset with violence and conflict, unemployed and marginally employed young people, to students in general and students with disabilities. Your work seeks to find ways to center these voices, to enable through your work their meaningful participation in social, educational, political, and civic life. Your work reminds us how this kind of engagement, these kinds of grassroots social movements can radically alter or transform any situation, can radically alter and transform spaces of education, society, can radically alter or transform our country. Your work reminds us how much this is needed now, how much this is needed now. The Team Awards, we congratulate Professors Margot, Kwana, McLeod, Patel, and their teams. We thank you for the chair throwing incident. There will never be another award ceremony quite like it, where somebody doesn't upturn their chair or a table in celebration. The power of your work focusing on African women, gender and sexual minorities, and children, those left behind, those impoverished, those needing our support, and their families. Your work echoes those of the individual awards in spirit, intent, in application, and commitment to social justice. It underscores for me, though, an important point. We are better as a collective, and all of you, through your teams and the ways in which you engage, show us this. You remind us through your efforts and your team's efforts that we achieve more, we do more, we are more when we come together when we harness the individual skills and capacities, when we work across disciplines and difference, and create teams that are inclusive and diverse. This relationality, as you reminded us, Vish, this kind of relationality, collaboration, is what is needed now, in this particular moment, as we face all the problems we have in this country and around the world. And what of all of us? Awards can be a little weird, hey? You don't want to feel a little jealous, but you do. They can feel a little weird. Because we live in this space where we are pitted against each other. There has to be a winner. We say all of us are winners, we all are winners, but we have to then choose a winner, which contradicts the idea that we all are winners. So there can be some discomfort when somebody throws a chair in celebration or stands up here and you have a sense of just how much that award means. So what do we do with some of that discomfort? I think for me in these moments, that's always a moment to celebrate with. We can kind of feel excluded, but I think there's another way in which we can approach it. We can put the ego aside, put the ego down for a minute, and to look at these scholars, look at their contributions, look at their work and their achievements, and use that to remind us of our work, use that to reignite our purpose to do social science that makes a difference, that is transformative. Use that to remind us that this work is not done. Our work as social science and humanities scholars, activists, is not done. It requires a collective effort. Thank you.
Professor Heidi van Rooyen, the Group Executive, the Impact Center. Thank you very much, ma'am. And now, for a message and closing remarks, I really wish to invite Professor Sarah Musuetsa, the CEO of the HSRC.
Thanks, Brenda. Good afternoon, everyone. It does feel very good to be in a room filled with familiar faces. And, I must add, beautiful souls that continue to build the humanities and social sciences in this country, in this continent, and for and in the global south. A special mention, and I often say I don't, and we all don't come alone. It is a privilege that all of you have made time. Some of you have been brave enough to even sit next to me. I acknowledge you. I special mention to the president of the South African Humanities Dean Association, Professor Pamela Maseko, who has done enormous work in the space of the humanities and social sciences, and I think most of us are grateful for your leadership, and I'm grateful that you are here today. To the 2023 HSRC USAf Awards, finalists, winners, awardees, congratulations, a big congratulations. I don't know about this audit that you have called upon me, Ashwin, but I would gladly open all my books and be audited. All the awardees, it's a short and powerful list of names from Malusi to Luke, to all of you who we've honored today and we've celebrated. If I had time, I would read all your names because I want your names to be remembered as the 2023 HSRC USAf Awardees. We hope the award propels you to new heights for the humanities and social sciences, for the greater good of and for our country. Most of you know the awards, these awards, and the 2023 process predates me. It's true. It predates me. 10 weeks in the office. I would like to think that those of you who at least are familiar with the work that I do would see one or two things. That we are beginning, and it's a we, that we are beginning to do in the spaces of the humanities and social sciences for this country and our continent. I want to thank the HSRC team, the USAf team, for all your efforts, for all the work that you put in making sure that today is what it is, and it can only be a resounding success. To Heidi, to Palesa, to Lucky, and team, Mahlatse, who I have actually, Mahlatse, I've enjoyed seeing you walk up and down as I needed to sit down. I appreciate you, I see you. I want to thank USAf and particularly Oliver. I said this to you and I want to say it in public. I know the efforts that you have taken in being here today with us. I appreciate that. And I'll always remember the sacrifice that you made to sit here and give your opening remarks. I'll always appreciate that and I'll always see that. Lastly, when I stand between you and lunch, so I'll do the lastly. Lastly, this year's theme is on social justice. For me, social justice means many things. But particularly, it means standing up, firmly so, against sexism, against ageism, and against racism. I want to ask you, what does it mean for you today? Thank you.
I really would like to thank everybody for the opportunity, especially sitting with an audience with a great sense of humor, and yet the work that is being talked about is extremely serious. I'd just like to appreciate the band that is about to play with abandon this time, because lunch is being served, and thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.